And we are live. This is TWIS, This Week in Science, episode number 475, recorded on Thursday, August 7th, 2014. Don't worry, be happy. Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Kiki, and today on This Week in Science, we're going to fill your head with a helicopter Momtopus. Is that a Momtopus? A nasty Ebola outbreak, and a trip to a comet. But first...
Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. Despite the many versions that have come before, humanity is still in its beta testing mode. The planetary and mental platform upon which everything is being run continues to prove itself unstable. There are more bugs than there are people, more questions than there are solutions, and more societal glitches than there are political patches to keep the peace programs from crashing. Thankfully, there are people attempting to maintain dedicated service to a more stable world, a world beyond bygone beta phase bugs, where an academically administered alpha particle can be released to the benefit of all mankind. Scientists programming a future of predictable performance and dependable outcomes. Despite all of this, there will, of course, still be bugs crawling about from time to time here on This Week in Science. Coming up next.
I've got the kind of mind I can't get enough. I want to learn everything. I want to fill it all up with new discoveries that happen every day of the week. There's only one place to go to find the knowledge I seek. I want to know what's happening. What's happening? What's happening this week in science? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening this week in science?
Good science to you, Kirsten and Blair.
Good science to you too, and welcome everyone to an episode of This Week in Science made possible by a working internet. I'm just wanting to say we're here. Yes, and I'm very glad that we are. I hope that you're glad too. We have a lot of science ahead, don't we, folks?
We do.
Indeed. We do. On this week's show, I have scary bug stories that maybe we shouldn't be so scared about. A story about a kinder, gentler society, maybe, made possible by less testosterone. And the impossible drive that probably really is impossible. But anyway, Justin, what'd you bring?
I've got mosquitoes, I've got shrinking dinosaurs, I've got conservation scientist oversights, and I think I got some Ebola news in there too. Some Ebola in town.
I think we both do. There's going to be a chat going on about that. Blair, what do you have?
I brought that Momtopus that you said.
I was trying to figure out how to make it a Momtopus or a Momtopus or...
Anyway. I think it's a Momtopus.
A Momtopus.
So I brought the helicopter Momtopus. I brought monkeys using humans. Oh my goodness. And let's see, caterpillars and jellyfish.
Nice. Sounds like so much fun. I hope everyone is ready for the excitement that we have ahead. First order of the day, Rosetta. And I'm not talking about the language learning program Rosetta Stone. I'm talking about the mission to Comet 67 Garamchenko something. Anyway, the European Space Agency sent over 10 years ago, launched this hardy little craft into the skies. And they set off to go look at a comet. Because, hey, we haven't really looked at comets before. And they're not just going to look at this comet. They're eventually going to land on it. But this week, after over a decade, about as long as TWIS, maybe a little bit less than TWIS has been around. Yeah, several years less, actually, but still a long time. They aimed at Comet 67P Churyumov-Gerasimenko, and they got there after hurtling themselves around the Earth 3 times, I believe, using the gravity of the Earth to whiplash the craft further and further out into space to be able to coincide 405 million kilometers from our planet. It's halfway between the orbits of Jupiter and Mars. Way out there. It's not close.
Yeah, and for those not familiar with kilometers, that would be 4,500,000 meters.
Thanks, Justin, for that clarification.
Yeah, I'm not sure that helps.
Yeah, no.
No.
So this comet is in a 6.5-year orbit, and it goes from beyond Jupiter to between between Mars and Earth, and then back 6.5 years to do this. And so Rosetta is going to hang out with the comet for a year. But the most interesting thing is that, number one, this week they came together after over a decade.
Aww.
And the first thing it did as it got close was to start taking pictures and then to start taking its temperature. They were looking at it through the infrared scale to find out what temperature it is, to see when it is further away from the sun in the colder reaches of its orbit. What does it look like? Is it covered in water? Is it icy on the surface? They actually found that it is minus 70 degrees Celsius, which sounds pretty cold to, this balmy San Francisco climate. But what it indicates to the scientists is that it's actually there's a dusty surface, that it's not as watery as it could have been. So dusty surface when it is further away from the sun, and that is probably containing more water ice that becomes heated and then vaporizes as it goes closer to the sun, and it melts and shoots off, and we see the wonderful comet tail. Other news from earlier is that Rosetta, in taking pictures, they determined that it looks kind of like a duck's neck, like a little body with a neck and a little head. Like it seems as if it could have been 2 separate comets that might have collided and stuck together, or maybe it's been putting up with some kind of forces, or maybe there were forces at one point in time that removed material to give it this shape. But then the most interesting thing is that it got really close just yesterday, and there was a wonderful approach where it just actually got the Rosetta mission, the Rosetta craft actually got into orbit around the comet, and it's going to stay there for another 6 weeks. And so we've been getting all sorts of pretty pictures, and it's going to do a couple of triangular paths and stay kind of in front of the comet as the comet moves along its orbit, and then it's going to attempt to land on the comet.
A comet landing?
Yes, this is going to be a comet landing mission. So in, I think, early November, we will see whether or not that works. Very exciting.
Wild.
It's like the ultimate will they, won't they, right?
Right. Is it going to work?
Been so long coming.
And there's something like 10 to 12 scientific instruments on this craft. There's all sorts of things that they're going to have to coordinate, and they're going to have different teams working together, and there's going to be all sorts of data. Here it is, 11 science instruments and 10 lander instruments, and they're getting ready for their science observations. Pretty exciting stuff. There's a whole bunch of teams, countries working together through the European Space Agency to make this happen, and I love that it's happening. And we have other missions that we're going to be looking forward to in 2015, like the New Horizons mission going out towards Pluto. Lots of things that are long time in planning, kind of like coming to a head, which is really neat. Yeah. Yeah. And then back here on Earth, everybody's worried about Ebola.
Oh, Ebola? There's no such thing as Ebola.
That's not true.
No?
That is not true.
Everybody eats bushmeat. Nobody has problems. Everybody be dead if bushmeat was bad. Bushmeat's fine.
Yeah, bushmeat might be fine. There are 5 different Ebola virus species. They're members of the Filoviridae family, and they are relatives of the Marburg virus, which is another kind of nasty one. 3 of the 5 viruses, Ebola viruses, have been associated with large outbreaks of Ebola in Africa, and a couple have not. And one of them specifically is found in the Philippines and in China, but hasn't ever really done anything. So there are a bunch of these little viruses floating around. Usually they hang out, like you said. Bushmeat is probably where a lot of contact happens. One of the last Ebola outbreaks was thought to be instigated by contact of a man in Africa who got a fruit bat and then as bushmeat and then took it home, and then contagion happened. So normally Ebola exists in what's known as it exists kind of in a reservoir within local animal populations. It doesn't kill the local animal populations, and the animal populations probably have a certain amount of resistiveness to it, so that they've got antibodies, and it doesn't kill off the animals. It doesn't really harm those populations very much. However, we now have this situation where there's growing infrastructure in Africa with growing populations, and so there are more roads, there are more villages, and there's more contact with these wild populations of animals. And what we're seeing are more and more outbreaks of things like Ebola virus, SARS, other viruses that can cause serious problems. So Ebola, scary. It's a hemorrhagic fever. It causes breakdown of your capillary network, and eventually you bleed to death. So it's not a great disease. It's been known to have up to 90% mortality when it does infect populations. This particular outbreak that is occurring has approximately 60% mortality. So not quite as bad as others, but still worse than many diseases than we're used to. However, the numbers of individuals who are being infected and dying, much lower. I just want to put it in perspective to other diseases around the world. 600,000, more than 600,000 people, like in the last year, have died from tuberculosis. 300,000 people from malaria in the last 6 months, most likely. Cancer worldwide kills hundreds of thousands of people. The flu, measles, HIV.
Wait, but Kirsten, these aren't fair. These are not fair comparisons.
Why are they not?
Ebola just got to town. Give it a chance. People, like, don't judge it just on, like, week 2 of it starting to go pandemic-y. We gotta give Ebola a chance
to go pandemic-y.
Ebola will be a fantastic, efficient killer if allowed to exist in a population for 50 years without having been diagnosed or treated or understood. Like the rest of those diseases, some of them had more than 50, maybe 100 years, where we just didn't know.
I think that's a really wonderful point. HIV itself took about 100 years for us to diagnose it. According to Tara Smith, who's an epidemiologist, she's made some wonderful posts online on her blogs and elsewhere related to the epidemiology of Ebola and other diseases. HIV alone, 100 years to diagnose. Once we diagnosed it, we got on top of it pretty fast. I mean, there's still a lot of people infected, and it's within and it's harbored within populations, but we're learning more about it really quickly. Ebola, we haven't diagnosed it and known about it as much. Another difficult thing with Ebola is that it has a long period. It can have a long period of time before symptoms show up. So anywhere between 2 and 21 days after being
that's a lot.
exposed.
So we could all have it already. And just
No, we could not all have it already. Yes, there are many cases. I think there's over 900 cases or 900 deaths that have been attributed to Ebola so far in this particular outbreak that has, I believe, encompassed up to 3 countries at this point in Africa. We have brought 2 individuals who were USAID workers to Emory University I believe the CDC in Atlanta, and they are under strict containment. This is a very specialized process to make sure that something like Ebola is contained, and there have been concerns brought up about bringing it to the United States, and now it's in the United States, and well, anyone could have already gotten on a plane and brought it to the United States, and we wouldn't know.
Yeah, but it may be that
probably
Ebola
hasn't happened.
Part of it is Ebola might be harder to catch than most, because it's originating from the same reservoir, actually, as HIV and HIV too. It's the same forests and locations, likely the same types of bats and bushmeat that are considered the source of at least of HIV too.
And it's like HIV, Ebola is only transmitted through bodily fluids. So contact with bodily fluids is what it takes.
Right.
You can't just be near somebody and breathe the air.
Right. You got to have bodily fluid contact exchange, and then the other part of that too is, unlike most diseases, like AIDS, for instance, there's not a whole lot of time. If you're dead in a month, limits the amount of people you're going to come in contact with pretty severely.
Yeah, and a lot of people, according to Tara, her posts, there are a lot of, because of the social issues in Africa, a lot of people end up dying at home, and they don't actually, they don't go get care. There are a lot of infrastructure issues related to the transmission and how it gets transmitted to other people and doesn't end up getting treated or diagnosed even, because of the culture there and the infrastructure that's available. And in the United States, we have a much more developed infrastructure for dealing with these kinds of things. Now, the last issue I wanted to get to with the Ebola is a lot of people have been talking about, well, a vaccine or a treatment or this or that, and there's some kind of jab that one of the aid workers has been used, and I believe it was described as like a super secret vaccine or super secret shot that was
urban legendy of the 2 infected workers. There was only one serum available, and the one said to the other, "You take it." Fine, go ahead. There is something like this that's out there. It's not a cure, it's not a vaccine, it's nothing like that, but it is a treatment.
And it's not top secret. It's not top secret.
Right,
people are publishing about it. It's not top secret. To completely
boost the immune system to keep you alive longer. It's not a cure. It doesn't kill the virus or make you immune to it, but it does. It is designed to get your life prolonged, hopefully long enough to overcome it.
I don't know about that treatment. The treatment that I do, the treatment that I am aware of, however, I think it is called ZMAP or something like. I'm totally blanking on the name of it right now. I think it's called, ZMAP. It has not been tested on humans, and it was what was given to an aid worker named Kent Brantley, who was one of the 2 brought to the United States. And it's a monoclonal antibody that actually contains 3 antibodies. And what these come from are, these antibodies originate from mice that have been infected, and then those mice develop antibodies as their bodies fight, their immune systems fight off the virus, and those antibodies are then collected and put into a little serum, and that became what is called ZMAP. It has been tested in monkeys previously. It was tested in 8 monkeys with Ebola, who all survived after receiving the treatment within 48 hours of being infected. So we don't know what the treatment window is. So that's something that is not understood. And the whole idea of we can just use these secret serums and antibodies that aren't really secret, but we can just use them and give them to people at whim. This is not the way that science works, and it's not the way that we know whether or not whether or not the ZMapp is actually doing what we hope it's doing. So a vaccine or a treatment like ZMapp, there have to be scientific experiments set up in which you infect individuals and you don't infect individuals with virus, and then they both receive the same treatment to see what happens. How many individuals die over a certain period of time? There have to be balanced, controlled experiments, or else we don't ever know what's actually happening. And you know, people might jump at the gun and say, oh, there's this treatment that's available and the government is keeping it from us. No, they're not. And maybe in extreme cases like this where somebody who knows the disease knows he's going to die because he's been treating people and watching them die, and he's able to say with full cognitive awareness of the consequences, say, I'll take it, whatever.
Okay. Kirsten, I guess it should have been explained to you earlier that while you and I know about the treatments, it's actually not public knowledge. They haven't been telling everyone. They've been reserving it for a select few of us with the expectations that the disease would be willfully introduced to populations and wiped out, but us scientifically dedicated types would be able to live in the aftermath.
Right.
But somebody didn't give Kiki the full memo on this. It is supposed to be the secret.
To leave me out of the future. Oh, no.
No, you're on the list. You're supposed to get it. You just weren't supposed to talk about it.
I didn't hear about it, so what does that mean?
Oh my goodness! I am sorry for having heard all of the conspiracy theories out there currently abounding, but stop. Just stop. Ugh. Too much.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just stop the conspiracy theories and let's just accept. And we're going to be fine, and people do not think this is going to be the big...
The rest... Oh, wait, I'm doing it again.
People do not believe that this is going to be the big one. This is not going to be the big outbreak. It is proceeding at a rate at which that governments and health officials are going to be able to get it under control. This one's going to be fine. However, there might be another one. So let's just allow the researchers to continue their research into vaccines and treatment, and hope they do it in a proper way in properly controlled biosecure facilities at the appropriate levels.
That'd be good.
Yeah. So anywho, I'm done with that one. Justin, you got a story?
I don't know if I do or not. Hang on, let me say. Oh, you know what? I do, but I gotta track it down. So I have a pop quiz for you, actually.
Pop quiz.
Okay.
What animal on the earth? Right, Blair's excited. She thinks she's got this one already. She's listening. She's listening close. What animal on the earth has the best sense of smell?
The best sense of smell.
How are you measuring that?
Has the best. What do you mean? How are you measuring that?
By the size of their nasal turbinates?
No. The
By...
number of cells dedicated and ganglia in the brain or whatever they're called.
Yeah, this is what I'm asking.
What animal has the best sense of smell?
Great question. I don't know. Do you have the answer?
You gotta guess. You gotta guess. Pop quiz. You gotta guess. Put something down. Don't get a zero.
I think it's going to be the stormy petrel.
What is that? I don't know.
Yeah, what is that?
It's a bird.
Okay,
It's a bird.
I'll come back to you.
Bird.
Smell.
I'll come back to you later. Blair?
Birds have a great sense of smell. Okay.
I'm gonna go with
Dogs.
Dogs probably aren't the best.
Elephants.
Good.
Elephants have long
porcupine.
noses. Porcupine.
Porcupine.
Yeah.
So we
And
got
the answer
dogs.
is
You know what's better than a dog?
what?
Rat.
The rat. Mmm.
All right.
But you know what's better than a rat?
Porcupine is closely related to a rat.
What's
You know
better than a
what's
rat?
What?
Elephant.
Elephant.
Yeah. Elephants have a they have like a 5 times better sense of smell than a dog.
You got it, Kiki.
Isn't that wild?
Very exciting.
It took me a few guesses, but I got it.
They do have a long nose.
They have a really long nose.
They've got a long nose, right? And plenty of room for sensors in there that can pick up and
nasal
detect.
turbinates.
Right? So this is one thing I would have not guessed. I would have said dog because I wouldn't have been able to think. And then somebody would have said rat, and then I would have gone, oh yeah, rat, probably better than a dog. But no, elephant. And this is why they think that elephants can tell the difference between a tribe that hunts elephants and one that doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they know who to be cautious of, because they can smell the meat eater from the farmer, even at a great distance. There had been some question of that. Maybe they're just remembering. The elephant's memory remembers, hey, this is, I can tell by the way they're dressed, they mean me harm. But no, likely, that's a possibility, but likely their sense of smell can detect a meat eater from a long distance.
Nice. Good job, elephants.
Other news, this isn't really happening yet, but this is something to keep your eyes on. 3D organ printing.
Ooh.
Yeah, you know, instead of being on that waiting list for your next kidney, you might be able to have your own printed on a 3D printer. They're working with it, biofabricating. It's got some potential breakthroughs that have sort of happened, figuring out how to get it done. But keep this one in mind, because this could be one of those live forever inventions.
Mm-hmm. Well, this makes sense to me because
Replacing organs, yeah.
They were able to 3D print food.
Right.
So if you can do that, it's not that far away to do other organic matter and move slowly onto something that you could eventually have living.
I think that the difficulty, when we've discussed this before in interviews and in other stories, that the difficulty with this kind of synthetic biological engineering is that you have to get all the structures right. You have to get the underlying support structure, you have to get the venous structure, the blood supply, you have to get every cell type in there to be able to do it. And something like a spleen is going to be a little bit different from the liver. Mm-hmm. Or the heart.
Mm-hmm. Right. And as we've learned from a previous guest on the show, the organs have a skeletal infrastructure to them.
Yeah.
So maybe that's really all we need to recreate is that, and then let stem cells and the like do their work to fill in and show up where they must.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I made it sound like really easy, like you just
one kidney, please.
Print them off, but,
That's what was on Star Trek, the thing that would make them their food? What was it called?
I don't know. What is Star Trek? I've never heard of Star Trek.
Isn't that the one that was...
The Replicator.
No, it was hosted by Ed McMahon, and it was like the kids that were like...
Oh, yeah, and the kids would sing, and then one of them would get voted off the island.
Guys. You know what I meant. But it was called the Replicator. The Replicator, you would just say... Cup of coffee, replicator, and it would just ring.
Cup of coffee, replicator.
Yeah. So you could do that with organs. You'd be like, one kidney, please.
And then the replicator goes, coming right up.
Yeah.
Coming right up, Mr. Dahmer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's move into... Hey. This is This Week in Science, but do you know what time it is?
Is it time once again for...
Those are creatures, bright and small. Biped, millipede, no pet at all. Want to hear about animals? She's your girl. Except for giant pandas and squirrels. Then I'm
Cha-cha-cha.
So I'm going to jump right into the story that was all over the internet last week. And that's the deep sea octopus. I call her the helicopter Momtopus.
Helicopter Momtopus.
Yes.
That's
quite
a
catchy
mouthful.
phrase.
Because she is the longest brooder ever known for any animal. She broods eggs for over 4 years. Pretty crazy. The Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute, MBARI, they started diving down into this deep sea area in May 2007. And they found this female octopus on a rocky ledge just above the floor of the canyon, about 4,600 feet below the ocean surface. So this is definitely deep sea. And the species, Granulodone boropacifica, had not been in this location before. When they had just a month prior, they were there and they didn't see this girl. And then over the next 4.5 years, the researchers kept diving. They dived down 18 times. Each time they found the exact same octopus. They could identify her based on her scars. And as time went by, her eggs got larger. The researchers started to see the young octopuses developing inside. And during that time, the female also began to lose weight, and her skin became loose and pale. So she never left during any of the times they were watching her, and normally they don't because they have to aerate the eggs all the time. And she didn't even show interest in food items that were pretty close by. She didn't leave at all, even for that. And then when they came back in September 2011 and they dove down, they saw her. But then 1 month later, she was gone. And they did find the tattered remnants of empty egg capsules. And there were over 160 eggs there. So,
Wow.
yeah, and female octopuses are terminal breeders, which means after they have sex and after they brood their eggs, then they die. They die.
They die. I would never do that.
Right? So this is my question. Was this female trying to be just the best mom in the world, or was she trying to cling on to what remnants of life she had?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Personally, if I knew I had to gestate for 4 years, nope.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
So
wouldn't do it.
it's interesting because normally octopuses, they brood for a couple months, right? And in cold water, things develop more slowly. That's about 3 degrees Celsius where she was, about 37 degrees Fahrenheit. That's pretty typical for there, but it's also much colder than shallow water, obviously. And it's colder, so it's harder to develop. It's also, a lot of the time, there's less oxygen because there's less photosynthesizers down there. Ooh, photosynthesizers. So because of that, she has to be aerating constantly. She's basically brushing off the eggs, moving water over the eggs all the time to get them oxygen. And so she had to work extra hard to get these octopuses to their full size. And by doing that, they're more developed when they hatch, and that makes them more capable of living in that deep water environment as well. So not only does it take longer for them to grow, but if she can get them to be older, then they have a better chance of survival.
Awesome.
Yeah, and so this is kind of an interesting thing because they haven't really looked very closely at deep sea animals' gestation, specifically invertebrates, but when they have, they're pretty long. There was a shrimp that they looked at that had a really long gestation too. So kind of it's something that we need to look at more. Obviously, we're not diving into these deep canyons that often because it takes a lot of money and resources. But now when we do, maybe we'll try to take better survey of the area, see who's taking care of eggs, who's brooding, come back, look at that specifically again. So this is definitely something to look at more in the future. Just a note that usually shallow water octopuses and squids, they usually only live 1 to 2 years. So the fact that this female reached sexual maturity and then brooded her eggs for 4.5 years. That is a pretty long-lived octopus. So
Yeah, so then
So-
the question is, what happens? Is there a chemical signal when her children are born, hatched, that somehow changes? Is there something about the care she has to give or a signal she gets from the hatched young that signals you're going to die now?
that's a good question. I know that octopuses die when they reach about the right age, even if they don't gestate and even if they don't copulate. They still usually die around 1 to 2 years. So I think it's just kind of they shoot their energetic wad is what they do. They sorry, but they just kind of they use every bit of energy, and it's very costly for them to grow super big, super fast. The act of mating and the act of gestating takes a lot of energy, and they're just spent. So that's normally how it works. So just by growing up to that size, too, I mean, if you think about it, a giant Pacific octopus gets to be enormous, gets to be, this big in 1 year. That's like,
huge.
yeah. It takes a lot of energy to get that. So they're sprinters. They're not long distance runners in terms of growth, I guess.
You know what this story kind of makes me think about, though? This octo mom lasting for 4 years instead of the 1 or 2. It makes me think of the Roy Batty character from Blade Runner, he did not want, the replicant who did not want to die. He and Pris, they just wanted to keep going, and finally when he died, it's time to die.
So I'm partly not convinced now that the researchers have the same octopus. Maybe this is just a good spot for raising a brood.
So there's a couple problems with that. So most likely no. First of all, this octopus had very telltale scars in very specific places.
Okay.
And you wouldn't be able to see, let's say, 10 scars in specific places. That's not going to happen on 2 different octopuses in the exact same spot, especially on an octopus. They don't have any hard body parts. Where they have scars, it should be very, very different from one to another. The other thing was they were watching the development of these eggs. And maybe in May of this year and May of next year, if it was different octopuses every year, it should be at a similar life cycle. They wouldn't catch these eggs at increasing life cycles
Right.
for 4.5 years.
Right.
So really, that's pretty low probability, I would say.
So
Low enough that you could probably
their normal life cycle would kill them off in 2 years. This isn't Kirsten. You're gonna have to take it back. You would go through with octopi gestation period because this gives you a chance of prolonged life now.
Yes.
Right. But only at very deep, deep levels in the ocean.
Yeah, Horton in the chat room is wondering whether they can whether their metabolism slows down enough to live 4 years without food, or if they would have to be going off on hunting trips and how that would work.
So she did not leave. As far as they can tell, she did not leave. She got steadily skinnier throughout the process. Food items went pretty close to her, and she didn't go for them. So they're fairly confident that she didn't hunt. So it definitely slowed down her metabolism. But the question is, did being down there slow down her metabolism and make her live longer? Or
right, so cold.
Was this an adaptive thing where that octopus, that type of octopus that lives in the deep, like the deep living subspecies of that octopus, have they adapted to live longer? So those are 2 very different things. Did their metabolism respond to the environment she was in, or did the metabolism change over generations to allow for this activity? Those are 2 very different things.
Yeah, and the final question is it octopuses or octopi? And I believe the answer is octopuses.
Correct, because it is Greek, not Latin.
Exactly.
Yes. So there's the octopuses. While we're talking about marine invertebrates, real quick, jellies, jellyfish you might call them, or jellies if you're trying to be scientific and correct. Their food strategy, their food finding strategy was looked at based on computer models. So jellies are plankton. Plankton means drifter. So jellies don't have control about where they go specifically in the water. They can move within the water column. They can change orientation, but they don't have control over their overall vector, I guess. They move with the waves. So scientists have assumed for a pretty long time, pretty much forever, that jellies, their tentacles kind of just run into food and they grab it and it's all luck. But a recent study by predictive biologist Andrew Reynolds says that perhaps they're actually looking for food. So what Reynolds did is he compared the movements of jellies to the same process that supercomputers use to find solutions to problems.
Huh.
And so he actually found similarities to two strategies that these supercomputers use. The first is known as the levee walk. It's where a searcher searches in nearby areas for something and then randomly jumps to faraway places if nothing is found locally. And failing that, there will be another random jump to a farther away distance. But then they also found another strategy that the jelly is moving up and down in the water, but if they move up or down and if food is not present, then it goes right back to where it started. And they call this bouncing, is what that's called. So they'll go up, nothing, go back to original. Down, nothing, back to the original spot. And Reynolds found both of these things in jellies. Now, a lot of scientists say it's random, and that's just jellies moving as jellies do within the water column, and they're plankton. And that's just, it's a coincidence that these are also things that supercomputers do. But Reynolds is pretty adamant. He thinks that it's no coincidence that this is what jellies do, but this is also specifically how supercomputers try to solve problems.
A good search pattern is going to be a good search pattern. And whether you say you've lucked into it or it's just developed because that's what works and those are the ones that survive, whatever it is, you know, a lot of nature is algorithm.
Yeah,
And
I'll agree with that.
The algorithm of that search, if it's the most effective, those are the jellyfish you're going to have more of who are running that kind of an algorithm and that search pattern. And,
but the question is whether they're using a search pattern or if they're actually just floating around.
It's both.
If they were,
pattern.
yeah, so there's probably a certain amount of floating and just being wherever the water takes them and whatever. But then you would expect that the movements would be a lot even more random than what you observe, and that you would not find these patterns at all.
What I didn't see in the study, and I'm assuming that they did it, and I'm hoping that they did it because that would be good science, is to compare a jelly's movements to a random model.
Right, exactly.
Which I didn't see specifically stated. And if it hasn't happened yet, that should happen. Because I think that's a very important piece of this puzzle.
Yep.
Well, wait, can't I just go down to the Monterey Aquarium and see jellies without waves?
No, there's water flow
circle
in there.
Yeah.
If they ever stop the water flow, the jellies will pile up and they'll actually suffocate each other. So there's constant water flow in jelly exhibits, and also the jelly exhibits are always circular. Even if the frame on the outside is square, it's a circular tank.
Oh yeah, I've noticed that. They're they're like either round or they're like bowed out or whatever you want.
Because otherwise they'll get stuck in a corner.
They're not that smart, but maybe they do have some kind of a movement algorithm. But if they did have a movement algorithm, you would think they wouldn't get stuck. Right. Although Roombas get stuck. So
Yeah, they
And they've got
definitely do have
vacuum
an algorithm.
algorithms.
Yeah. Yeah. I have one more story in the Animal Corner. It's actually the one I was most excited about, so I probably shouldn't have left it for last. But
We're excited now even more.
caterpillars and moths, one and the same, right?
Mhm.
Caterpillar turns into a moth. They
Or
hold
a
on
bu-
to memories.
Or a butterfly, if you've read the Eric Carle book, to a
Right.
toddler many times.
They hold on to memories from their larval state as a caterpillar, which is insane.
That
So,
doesn't make any sense. If you've ever taken apart a cocoon, it is mush in there.
right.
It's like
So,
jelly soup.
during metamorphosis, there's this process called histolysis, and that's when the larval brain, the caterpillar brain, stimulates the release of enzymes, and it dissolves most of the tissues in there. It really does make a caterpillar soup, and then it all gets assembled back into a butterfly or a moth. And recently, Georgetown University researchers discovered that they could have aversive memories formed in tobacco hornworm caterpillars. So what they did is they trained the caterpillars to avoid the odor of ethyl acetate. It's what smells in nail polish remover. And usually the caterpillars are indifferent to that smell. It doesn't hurt them. But they paired the exposure with a mild electric shock. And so they successfully taught the caterpillars that ethyl acetate smell was bad. And when given a choice of air or normal air or ethyl acetate, 78% of the caterpillars avoided the ethyl acetate and went for air instead. So they definitely learned. Then they went off to metamorphose, and they developed into moths. The moths, a month later, still showed an aversion to ethyl acetate. 77% of the moths chose air over ethyl acetate after metamorphosis. And almost all of the moths that chose the air were the same
That's
ones
what I was wondering. Okay.
that as caterpillars also avoided the ethyl acetate.
So it wasn't like random, it wasn't 75-ish% as caterpillars and then some other 75% that included some of the individuals and others. But really, it was basically the same individuals.
It was essentially the exact same
That's
individuals. Awesome. Yeah. So I think it's crazy that through this protein soup that so obviously some of the neural connections in their brain tissue stayed despite everything else that was disintegrating out and turning into this caterpillar soup in the cocoon.
We obviously have not looked closely enough at the soup. But then,
Some neural connections remained. Absolutely.
Wild.
But is it neural? You would think it's neural connections. You would expect it to be neural connections, but it could also be some cellular instruction. I mean, there are definitely cells and chromosomes that are remaining because not everything is turning into just letters of just nothing gunk. There are still chromosomes remaining. The instructions that tell the caterpillar how to reassemble into a butterfly are still operating. There are still many processes that are ongoing during this entire transformative process. But the question now is which structures are important for this and which ones are actually holding on to this information.
So the current hypothesis is that it's some sort of neural connections. But now, they definitely have to do some sort of research to figure that out. So I'm not sure quite how they would get that done. But
well, whatever the memories are, they can't be that strong. I rarely go out to the garden and see moths crawling about. So they're not going to I used to love crawling around this plant, chewing on these leaves over here. Remember when we were little larvae?
No, they
don't. You never see them go back to so whatever the memories are.
Or fly, which would you choose, Justin?
They're at least not nostalgic for the past.
Should I crawl on the ground and get eaten by birds, or should I fly around in all of my glory?
Well, there's that, but then there's also being able to go up to a nice big red tomato and take a bite out of it versus having some unfolding
Delicious
little straw
nectar.
that you have to only put into a flower's honeydew spot. Like there's some disadvantages there too.
Perhaps. All right. Well, I'll save the rest of my stuff for later. That's fine.
That's
Oh
fine.
yeah, we better go.
That's
we
fine.
better take
That's
it to
fine.
break.
The animal corner, we can end it now. That's fine.
I deem it so.
This wonderful attitude of yours, past intern, now co-host.
Let's take it to the bridge.
That was my polite way of saying we're an hour into the show. Maybe we should take a break.
We should take a break. All right, everybody. Yeah, it's time to take a break. This is This Week in Science. Stay tuned.
What just happened?
Can't explain the things you heard with more than intuition. The line of reason shows the way to go. No conclusion. The methods of hypothesis and patience are the only things I need. Put on a pair of goggles and go looking for the things I couldn't see.
Care to support This Week in Science? This Week in Science would really love your support. And we have multiple ways for you to support us. Help us out. Keep the show going. You can buy merchandise and you can wear it all over. That's right. We have swag. And you can just head over to TWIS.org to buy it from our Zazzle store. So if you go to TWIS.org, TWIS.org, and click on the Zazzle store link in the main header bar, you'll go right there, right to the Zazzle store and find hats and shirts, sweatshirts, tote bags, all sorts of things. Just in time for whatever reason you need merchandise, whatever reason you need TWIS logos emblazoned. It's pretty nice, pretty cool stuff. Anyway, we would appreciate you buying it and wearing it. Truth said. TWIS is also supported by your donations, and those donations go toward contractors we need to hire, bandwidth, hosting, all sorts of the ins and outs of equipment and making this stuff happen, trying to upgrade it also. And we do appreciate any amount that you are able to give, $2 to $200 or $2,000, $5,000, I don't know. It can help us do all sorts of stuff. You make this show possible. We currently have 2 ways for you to donate. You can go to TWIS.org and click on any of the PayPal buttons that are all over the website. Go to any page, PayPal everywhere. It's the way, if that's the way you want to do it, do it. Additionally, we have a Patreon account. Patreon is kind of like Kickstarter, but for media producers. And so you can be a patron for the art of our show, so to speak, and you support us based on an ongoing donation for every episode that we produce, and you can support us at whatever level of support you like. You choose to support us the way that fits your life and your budget, and that's Patreon, patreon.com/thisweekinscience, patreon.com/thisweekinscience. Whichever your preference, go to our website. You can find links all over the place to make a donation. If you can't afford a donation, we can always use your help finding new listeners. Get us new minions. We need to build the minion ranks, maybe. Use your social networks for science and for TWIS. Tell your friends, your family, all about TWIS and see if they'll start listening too. Be a great thing that you could do for us, and it's totally free. We thank you for your support. We really could not do this without you.
And we're back with more This Week in Science. I just had an amazingly frightening experience.
What?
So
No
I
frightening?
went out front of my place, as I often do during the break, to look up at the stars, maybe see the moon, or whatever. And
Let out the cat.
there's no catch here. And a crop duster at tree level zooms right over my head.
Nice. Did it dust you?
I ran back inside because I'd forgotten they're spraying something to prevent the spread of West Nile here in the county of Yolo.
What? Yes.
There's been
Kill the
some reported
mosquitoes.
deaths associated with the West Nile. The spread has gotten a little out of hand, so they are crop dusting tonight. But it was just because it was out of nowhere. All of a sudden, there's this plane coming right over the tree line, right at me. I was like, "Oh yeah, ran inside, jumped in because I don't know what they're spraying. I don't want it on me." But speaking of mosquitoes,
They are spraying something that kills mosquitoes. That's what they're spraying.
they found Chinese mosquitoes on the Baltic Sea. Or, well, rather the other way around. Perhaps it's Baltic mosquitoes in China. So, yeah, Baltic amber comes from the Baltic Sea region, which is almost 10,000 kilometers from Fushun, which, for those not familiar with kilometers, 10,000 kilometers is about 10,000 meters. It's about roughly the same. Actually, this is over by the Baltic.
I hear the plane in the
You heard
background.
him? It's coming over again.
It's after you.
You missed me the first time. So this is really interesting. So this is they're huge amber discovery. There's only some of these that they found worldwide. This is kind of on the older side. They're finding they're looking for bugs. They're going through samples of the amber looking for bugs, and they found a mosquito about 40 to 50 million years old. And it is in China, northeast China, and it's very similar. It looks like it's related to the mosquitoes much later that were found in the Baltic region from Baltic amber. And what's wild about this is these weren't connected. There was a huge water strait between northern China and the Baltic at the time. And it had always been considered that there hadn't been any cross-proliferation in mosquitoes and the evolution. And so this has opened up a window into the past that along many, it looks like 80 different families of insects, tiny animals that populated East Asia 53 or so million years ago. It's giving more insights into insect evolution. We're always so fixated on human evolution. We sometimes overlook the fact that mosquito origin stories are interesting to mosquitoes.
No,
Right? They found there's also a new grasshopper that was discovered. This is in, where is this? This is in South America. Oh no, Dominican Republic. This is 20 million year old amber found there. They began going through and painstakingly looking at every piece that was getting brought out of a quarry and found a grasshopper, a pygmy locust. That it was an intermediate stage in the evolution of grasshoppers.
Nice. I like it.
Nice.
I like it. I do. How about the impossible? You all want to make the impossible possible?
Nothing's impossible.
The impossible dream.
Some things might actually be impossible, but we want them to be probable. I don't know. How about the impossible drive, the M drive or EM drive, or as a more recent creator has called it, the Comet drive. This drive is a type of space drive that has been, it's a prototype rocket engine. The M drive was created, I don't know, several years ago. This created several years ago by a British inventor, Roger Scheuer, and the idea is that there's a box, and inside the box is like a thruster and microwave thruster, and it bounces microwaves around inside the box, and somehow the bouncing of the microwaves around inside the box creates thrust, and will move an object like a spaceship or a rocket forward through space. The problem with this is this does not obey laws of physics that we understand. If you have a box, of course, if you're inside of it and you push really hard, bounce really hard, it could potentially be moved in one direction. But then if the microwave is bouncing back the opposite direction, it's going to negate what it just did, and it'll just end up in the same place. So, by the laws of physics, this drive should not work at all. So he said that it worked. People were like, meh, nope, it's not working. Anyhow, move forward, and we now have an Italian researcher, Guido Fetta, and he has created a third version of this M drive called the Canny drive, and he got a group of researchers at EagleWorks Laboratories, which is part of NASA's Johnson Space Center. And it's interesting, the media stories that have jumped all over this M drive are like, NASA has proved the impossible possible, and all this stuff. But anyway, these researchers, they took this Canny drive, and they're like, okay, great, we test things that are kind of interesting. We're looking at possible solutions, so you think it works? Let's try it. Another side note is that there are some Chinese researchers working on a different version of this drive. They say they have positive results and have published those results as well. So there's some interesting stuff coming out, but we don't really know what's going on. The researchers, in publishing in their abstract, say what do they say here? The methodology doesn't really say whether or not testing took place in a vacuum or how much of the testing took place in a vacuum, and you need to have a vacuum for this really subtle thrust effect to be noticeable. This thrust effect, the sensitivity of it could pick up something like the wind blowing offshore 60 miles away. It's that sensitive. So anywho, let's go back to this Canny drive and what they published. They're using electromagnetic waves, puts them in a box called a waveguide. Light bounces back and forth, and then you're supposed to be getting movement. They saw a force in their test item, and then basically they have the box, and they had slots in it where thrust could possibly come out. And they had another box where they closed up or disabled those slots to disable thrust. They saw thrust in both situations. Mm-hmm. So what it sounds like is that they are publishing that they found an artifact. They have a research artifact that they noticed, because you can't have your test and your control have the same results, and it doesn't make sense. It sounds like a research artifact, which is interesting because there was some kind of thrust going on there, and the Chinese have reported they have thrust.
So now, I'm not a physicist. I'll just get that out in the open right now.
Yes.
But unless you're assuming that the initial generation of the microwaves had a kickback, like shooting a shotgun, where it kicked the emitter backwards, then anything that you're adding in terms of microwaves hitting the initial wall, every time you're emitting microwaves to hit that wall, that's going to be the force as it goes forward. The rest of it, bouncing back and forth, simply negates each other.
Yes.
But the new microwaves hitting that one panel will always be the new force to the system every time
they're always going to go backwards and negate it.
I know. But what I'm saying is there's going to be that initial first hit is the first direction. That's the thrust. Everything else bouncing back and forth is negating itself. So it's not adding, it's not continuing to add, but it's the initial direction in which they're launched that is 100% of the force for the thrust. That's the picture I got in my head. It would always, as you continue to emit, that continues to hit that one wall first, And that's the unbalance. That's the one that's the direction you go in. As things bounce back and forth afterwards, those two just negate. Those two are just in stasis. But the initial wall that gets hit, that direction should have thrust.
Which might be what, I mean, who knows what is actually going on in this situation? But what we do know is that the headlines that this story has been generating are not correct. NASA has not validated a physics-defying space drive. NASA has not validated an impossible space drive. NASA has reported an anomaly. They have reported that there is something interesting that deserves further research. So maybe we will see more about this. I mean, it's especially interesting since a Chinese research team has published something that they say was a positive result as well. So they're two different devices. Maybe they're working on the same method. Maybe they're not. Maybe this team needs to refine what they've done, but we don't need to jump to conclusions like we did with faster-than-light neutrinos, like we have with cold fusion, like we have with so many things. Let's wait it out, people. Let's get over the 24 hours superficial news cycle.
And go to the 1 week superficial news cycle. No, Kirsten, I mean, the scientists aren't really going to jump the gun on this. They're going to continue to do the studies until they've got the proofs. But for the general public to get excited about something in science, for it to get a lot of interest, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I think the other issue here that's a little bit funny is the scientists, the engineers who actually worked on this. I kind of wonder. You have to wonder at how much they understand exactly what they're doing, because they use terms like the quantum vacuum virtual plasma, which is something that does not exist. There is as Sean Carroll writes, there is no such thing as a quantum vacuum virtual plasma. Should be a tip-off right there. There is a quantum vacuum, but it's nothing like a plasma. Does not have a rest frame, so there's nothing to push against, so you can't use it for propulsion. The whole thing is just nonsense. They claim to measure an incredibly tiny effect that could very easily be just noise.
Well, if Sean Carroll is calling scientific BS, then it must be scientific BS.
He called you out. You gonna respond to that?
Called it out.
Yeah. I mean, because he's willing to speculate and let things run their course in a lot of different directions. If he's like, they don't have it right, I'm going with Sean Carroll.
Yeah. In the abstract, the researchers wrote the KNA drive. They speculate that it's producing a force that is not attributable to any classical electromagnetic phenomenon, and therefore is potentially demonstrating an interaction with the quantum vacuum virtual plasma, which they don't really get into, but I think what they mean is that out in space where there's not really anything, there's little particles popping into and out of existence, and that maybe this electromagnetic force is somehow pushing against those particles in a quantum manner, and that's what Sean Carroll is saying.
Or they've discovered oceanic string space.
Oh, you're bringing that back, huh?
I let it go, but yeah, my crackpot science.
Maybe the EM drive, the KNA drive, maybe it works in your oceanic.
Maybe it does work in my mind. Maybe it does.
Yeah. Anyway, people, the impossible drive, it's still wishful thinking. But let's do more tests.
Always more tests to be done. Always.
Yeah. Blair, you have another animal story?
Yeah. I have monkeys that use humans as shields.
Wait, what?
So, in South Africa, Samango monkeys are more adventurous when there are human researchers around. And it's because they're often eaten by things like leopards and civets. And so researchers put bins of food for monkeys at a vertical scale at the very tips of trees all the way down close to the ground. And when humans were not around, they didn't really go down to the lower baskets at all, because that's where the cats hung out that like to eat Samango monkeys. But when human researchers were around, they would hang out and have a little banquet down there at the lower baskets. So they definitely perceived when humans were around, and these were in areas where monkeys weren't hunted for food, was a big part of it. So in other cases, there are monkeys that avoid humans, but in this case, they actually have noticed that humans keep them safe and they can forage more freely when humans are around. So, yes, sometimes we can
Awesome.
help animals. Yeah.
Take the human shield. It'll
So what are you
protect
doing today? I'm gonna go do some security work for some monkeys. I'm gonna go be an entourage bodyguard.
Well, I think in the end, it could be a good thing. It could also not be a good thing. So I think it's something that humans affect these populations, even when it looks like, oh, we're not hurting them, so that's a good thing. We could be having some other effect that could change the ecosystem as well. And for example, there are chimps that use humans to kind of flush out other monkeys that then the chimps will eat. So it helps the chimps, doesn't help the other monkeys so much.
People forget being top dog. You are pawns to the animals.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it is. We are just pawns. We are just players on this stage produced by animals.
Indeed.
Justin, you have another story.
Oh, more stories. Let's see. Where we? Oh, okay. Here's something good. This is kind of interesting. This might actually go along with what you were just talking about. This is from the Wildlife Conservation Society. It says conservation scientists asking wrong questions on climate change impacts on wildlife. So there's been a lot of talk about what are the animals going to do when we take into account the changing climates, the changing availability of the habitat, this sort of thing. It says here, while the majority of climate change scientists focus on the direct threats of changing temperatures and precipitation post-2031, apparently that's a benchmark year, far fewer researchers are studying how short-term human adaptation responses will more greatly impact the survival of wildlife ecosystems and how these could actually happen much sooner. They state the indirect effects are far more likely to cause extinctions, especially in the near term. Interesting. Yeah, a review of literature exploring the effects of climate change on biodiversity has revealed a gap in what may be the main challenge to the world's fauna and flora, says senior author Dr. James Watson, Climate Change Program Director and Principal Researcher at the University of Queensland.
So what they're saying is it's not so much that let's say the rising sea level is going to affect these animal species, but that humans pushed out by the rising sea level will move into previous wild territory, and that will push out these animals.
Or it might, okay, so here directly they say direct threats include things like coral bleaching, shifting animal and plant life cycles and distributions, habitat loss from sea level rise. Mm-hmm. Human responses to climate change include everything from shifting our agriculture patterns, construction of seawalls to protect cities from sea level rise, changes in human fishing intensity, diversion of water, because, if there's some places like California, we're looking for lakes to drain to feed our hunger or thirst. All right, so yeah, it's kind of, it seems pretty obvious, but I guess 89% of the research included in the review focused exclusively on direct impacts, and only 11% included both direct and indirect threats. So the direct is how would the animal behavior change. The 11% includes how humans are likely to also be invading or coming into conflict with animals at the same time, which seems really like a small number of studies that are looking at
how can you know that? You can guess how migration patterns are going to change way easier than you can guess where humans are going to start growing their crops. I think that's going to be much harder to predict. And that's why there's been less studies about that, because part of preparing is to study what we can predict and respond ahead of time to what we can predict. And I think it's going to be so difficult to predict what humans are going to do and then how that's going to affect the animals. Then you're getting so many times removed. I think it's going to be really difficult.
I don't know, Blair. You mean you're a zoologist, so maybe animals make more sense than people to you. But it seems like we should be pretty good at predicting what people will do at this point, being one that we are people. And also, if our climate model is showing us that this certain area of land is going to be more suitable for farming, say,
I break.
you know, that should then be included. And the fact that, you know, it is wilderness now, but if, you know, one study is saying, oh, they'll likely migrate to this neighborhood, and the animals will, and, you know, the one that's showing the indirect is saying, yeah, and this is also going to be great farmland, so it's probably going to be taken over by humans, then we have an extinction event in one and simply a migration in the other.
So, yeah, I think that's a very good point, and I think that there's lots that can be learned, but I think that also there's other things that you just can't know. Like, what I'm saying is that, yes, there might be an area that might make really good farmland, but then there might be another area that is pushed as farmland on us because of commercial influences. There are other things going on besides what is the best course of action for us. There's lots of things influencing what we're going to do next. I mean, if we were doing the most logical thing right now, we wouldn't be burning fossil fuels, we'd be putting solar panels on our houses, but we're not doing that.
Yep.
I'm just saying, humans don't always follow a logic model.
What? Are you kidding? We're not
But that should make
completely
it
logic
easy to
ruled
predict.
brains.
That's why we're easy to predict. We do the thing that's only in our own self-interest immediately,
Hedonistic.
and not in any sort of long-termy, timey-wimey sort of way.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even always in our own interest. That's my point. You can't even predict that.
But sometimes things happen that we don't even, we have no part of, like this recent study in Current Anthropology that looked at over 1,400 ancient and modern human skulls, and they couldn't actually measure testosterone directly in the bones of the skulls, because they're just skulls, you can't get that. But what the lead author, Robert Sierra, found was that the faces got softer and more roundy as time progressed. So from 200,000 years ago to more recently, when we started making art and advanced tools and cooperating, and we moved from being these little bands of scrappy humans to agricultural design and things, we lost our heavy brows, we got rounder heads, and in the skeleton, these things are connected to testosterone. So it could be very possible that lessening testosterone in the human body led to our becoming kinder and gentler and a more peaceful kind of people. And like I know Justin, you love the study of the Tret foxes, the Siberian foxes. Yes. That as they were domesticated, they became less aggressive. They had more of a juvenile appearance, and they had more juvenile behavior, more playful. The selective breeding reduced their testosterone levels in a similar way. So animal studies kind of back up what possibly could have happened in people.
Real quick, chat room is pointing out that my camera seems to be constantly changing focus. No, the camera is actually set to a finite focal point. I'm just phasing in and out of time slowly. I need to... Yeah.
Good gracious. Reprogram your brain, anybody? You want to reprogram? Yeah, you want to reprogram your...
Not my brain. My brain is perfect. Why would I ever reprogram this perfectly programmed brain?
Well, you might not, but a study published in the Journal of Neuroscience studying mice, they did repetitive transcranial magnetic stimulation on these mice that were bred to have abnormal brain organization, and they found that the synapses of the nerves realigned, and they started to become more normal So with magnetic stimulation of these mouse brains, they became these mice became more normal and had a reorganization, and it was associated with changes in a specific brain chemical and occurred in several brain regions across a whole network. So not just specific one specific area, but a whole network. And so it's this reorganization, and they did not see it in healthy normal brains. So it's like the abnormal brains know they're abnormal somehow and need reorganizing.
Whoa.
This also sounds sort of dangerous, because you know what passes. I mean, if what passes for normal in a mouse is anything like what passes for normal in humans,
I'm sure these mice were really abnormal. The ones that were abnormal, very abnormal.
Abnormal.
Yeah. I mean, and we're talking about how what the researchers are wanting to do or looking at is looking at implications for the potential use in humans for treating depression, for treating other small disorders of the brain, maybe even larger ones like epilepsy, maybe tinnitus. Kind of interesting. Reorganize your brain. Yeah.
With magnets.
With magnets. That's right.
They're my refrigerator magnets and just...
I don't think it works that way.
Oh, okay.
Any more stories, you guys? Are we done?
That's all I got.
I think we're good.
We are good. You know what I forgot to do? Open up my Patreon account again.
Oh, I got one more than shrinking dinosaurs.
Shrinking dinosaurs.
New studies revealed how massive meat-eating, ground-dwelling dinosaurs evolved into the agile flyers of today. And the answer, they just kept shrinking and shrinking for a period over around 50 million years. The group that eventually turned into birds just kept getting smaller. More and more micro-sized versions of the big ground-dwelling, meat-eating, massive dinosaurs got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller over 50 million years, and eventually began to develop the more bird-like traits: feathers, wishbones, hollow skeleton, three-fingered hand. And this was a study of bipedal carnivorous dinosaurs, T-Rex and Velociraptor.
So this goes in a little bit of opposition to the story that we discussed a couple of weeks ago, where it was one study suggesting that no, the raptors did not become birds. Yeah. That it was the result of another division.
This is University of Adelaide. They're saying, Associate Professor Lee is saying, birds outshrank and out-evolved other dinosaurian ancestors, surviving where larger, less evolvable relatives could not. And you know the thing too is, we did the DNA test, or the blood test. We get DNA, some chromosomes from the T-Rex from the fossil, and it showed that it was most related not to any reptile or anything like that.
Chicken.
But it was mostly related to chicken and ostrich.
Just like Blair said.
And then they did further DNA tests where they said, hey, well, if there's T-Rex in a chicken, maybe it's hiding somewhere in the DNA still, right? And they got a chicken that had teeth. They stimulated the buds, because they'd noticed that the teeth, the buds that form teeth, actually are there in the embryonic stage of a chicken, but they don't develop, and instead you get a beak. But they I guess got them to turn on and stay on, and developed chickens.
That's terrifying.
And then there was the chicken lady.
Huh?
Anyway.
Then there was a were-chicken.
And then there was
an 8-foot chicken that was only seen on the full moon.
All right, everybody. I think that does it for this show tonight. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you. I want to shout out to all of our supporters on Patreon, patreon.com/thisweekinscience. We have Kevin Donald Wesley Ballard, Paul Disney, Sam Winsier, John Ratnaswamy, Rudy Garcia, Bo Hartwig, Patrick Cohn, Stephen B., Mark, Jason Dozier, Matthew Litwin, Eric Knapp, Kevin Parachan, Jason Roberts, Shane and Tara Ginsburg, Brian Condren, Byron Lee, E.O., Bob Calder, Jared Lysette, Ulysses Adkins, Jake Jones, Chris Cross, Sarah Chavez, Michael, Steven Sorowiak, Layla Amir Sadeghi, Marshall Clark, Charlene Davidson Henry, Violated Gorilla, Don Komarichka, Randy Mazuka, Ed Dyer, Tony Steele, Larry Garcia, Darren Lute, Tara Payne, Alex Wilson, Daryl Lambert, John H. Maloney, Jason Olds, Gordon Grant, James, Paul West, Lauren Lang, Tuomas Mikinen, Alec Doty, Illuminlama, Nick Gradwell, Dan Rambo, Dougal Campbell, TMRO, Miko Pakala, Craig Porter, Adam Mishkan, Jason Martin, Marjorie, Scott Lejewski, Philip Shane, Tyler Harrison, Ben Rothig, Columbo Ahmed, Gary Swinsberg. Thank you so much for your support. And on next week's show, once again, we will be back broadcasting live online at 8 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on twist.org/live. You can watch and join our chat room. Join the chat room. It's so much fun in there. There's funny people in there. They had me ruffling. They did. I was almost ruffling.
How do you say that?
But don't worry if you can't make it live, because you can watch us on YouTube. You can watch the whole show, youtube.com/thisweekinscience, or you can just listen to the podcasts, subscribe, twist.org. Don't forget to tell a friend about Twist and check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/thisweekinscience.
Yes, thank you everybody for enjoying the show. We hope you've, at least we hope you've enjoyed it. Twist is also available as a podcast. Just Google This Week in Science in your iTunes directory, or if you have a mobile device, you can look for Twist for Droid in whatever mobile device you have, unless it's an iPhone, in which case it's just Twist, TWIS.
For more information on anything you've heard here today, show notes will be available on our website, www.twist.org. That's TWIS.org. You can also make comments and start conversations with the hosts and other listeners.
Yeah, or you can just hit us up directly. You can email Kirsten at thisweekinscience.com, Justin at twistminion@gmail.com, or Blair at blairbaz@twist.org. Or you can put Twist, make sure to put Twist somewhere in your subject line so your email does not get spam filtered into oblivion. You can also hit us up on the Twitter, where we are at Twist Science, at Dr. Kiki, at Jackson Fly, and at Blair's Menagerie. We love your feedback. If there's a topic you would like us to cover or address, a suggestion for an interview, a haiku that came to you in the night, please let us know.
We'll be back here next week, and we hope you'll join us again for some more great science news.
And if you've learned anything from today's show, remember,
it's all in your head.
This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science, it's the end of the world, so I'm setting up shop, got my banner unfurled. It says the scientist is in, I'm gonna sell my advice, show them how to stop the robots with a simple device. I'll reverse global warming with a wave of my hand, and all it'll cost you is a couple of grand. 'Cause this week's science is coming your way, so everybody listen to what I say. I use the scientific method for all that it's worth, and I'll broadcast my opinion all over the earth. 'Cause it's This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 I've got one disclaimer, and it shouldn't be news, that what I say may not represent your views, but I've done the calculations and I've got a plan. If you listen to the science, you may just better understand that we're not trying to threaten your philosophy, We're just trying to save the world from jeopardy. Jeopardy. And this week in science is coming your way. So everybody listen to everything we say. And if you use our method instead of rolling a die, we may rid the world of toxoplasma gondii. Cause it's This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. Science. I've got a laundry list of items I want to address. From stopping global hunger to dredging Loch Ness. I'm trying to promote more rational thought, and I'll try to answer any question you've got. But how can I ever see the changes I seek when I can only set up shop 1 hour a week? This Week in Science is coming your way. You better just listen to what we say. And if you've learned anything from the words that we've said, then please just remember it's all in your head. Cause it's This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. Science. This Week in 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 Science.
And that is the end of this episode of This Week in Science. We now have the post show. I got a present from Ulysses. Ulysses sent me a present for my birthday.
What is it? I can't see it.
The complete DVD series. The complete series of The Middleman.
Oh.
I never saw it.
Cool.
This is exciting. Yeah, I love sci-fi. So I'm
So
excited.
those people that donated enough money to get a drawing from me,
You've been drawing.
I've been drawing.
Yay! That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah,
So-
peoples are gonna get drawings
Mhm.
from Blairla.
It's true.
It is true. I got a cool.
Sneak peek on Twitter today. Go ahead.
I got a cool bird from my husband for my birthday.
That's awesome.
It's made
What
by
did you
a.
get from shirt.woot?
It's a shirt for you. You weren't here one night. I think you were in Israel being bombed,
Uh-huh.
and I found a shirt, and I decided I had to get it for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it came, and it's in. I was just gonna open it and show it to you long distance, but then I decided it would be more fun to not open it.
Okay.
What? I got something for Blair too.
What? It's
I
almost
did.
like it's my birthday, but
This
it's
is the
not.
Give presents to Blair hour.
But it's your birthday. This is skewed.
I'm gonna open it though.
I like it when it's skewed.
What
Ha ha. You're gonna open it. You're gonna open it. Justin's
I'm gonna
opening it.
Hang on.
is it?
Well, I can't tell where this. Hang on a second here. Let's see. Oh, almost. Oh, there we go. Right about. Hang on.
If it's a beer, I'm gonna be
funny.
pissed.
What?
I am
Is it a
opening
beer?
this beer.
No, I got you a giant paper clip.
Yeah!
That's awesome.
That goes on. That goes on your copy of a script.
Yay!
Woo! That is a giant paper clip.
I'm
It is.
coming.
It's kind of hard to tell when I was pulling it up if it was just
Kiki, are you coming this weekend?
What?
Sunday. Can you come up Sunday?
Sunday. No, I cannot.
That's
Sunday, I have a date with a friend for a pedicure, because we are two unlikely subjects for pedicures, so we both decided that we should go get them together.
That's fun.
Yeah,
So-
and then additionally, I'm going to be judging a contest on Sunday evening. The American Chemical Society is going to be in town for their annual conference from Sunday through, I think, midweek next week. And they're having a contest that is the chemistry champions, the chemistry champion finals. And
How do you do champion of chemistry?
because it's kind of like I guess American Idol for science communication of chemistry experiments.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, and I'm one of the judges.
That's awesome.
Yeah, other judges are Lydia Franco Hodges from the Ellen Aldous Center for Communicating Science at Stony Brook University, and Sam Keene, the author of The Disappearing Spoon.
Ooh.
Yes, and so this is the
Spoony.
ACS Chemistry Champions Final, and there are 5 early career chemists with a story to tell about chemistry, and people are going to vote for their favorites, but we're going to judge, kind of like American Idol. Well, we'll judge and give input, but then it's going to be voted on by the audience. The winning chemistry champion receives a trip to Washington, D.C. to star in an American Chemical Society reactions video, tour the ACS headquarters to meet and chat with professional science communicators, and receive an extra special speaking opportunity that will be announced at the finals. And it is going to be held at the Exploratorium.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. There's only room for 200 in the audience, so if you're in San Francisco and you want to see the American Idol of chemistry champions,
Well,
you should be there.
of course I do, but I will be taping Jack feedback.
You will. I will have to tape mine at home again.
And it's actually easier that you do that.
It is?
'Cause I kind of did the math, and I think so, because when I did the editing I've been doing this editing, still ongoing, about halfway done. Because Betty has a robotic sound to her, it's much easier to take all of your dialogue and process it through filters and get the right sound than to keep going back line through line and doing it.
That makes
But
sense.
then I got to edit you in. I think technically it works out to about the same. Really. I got to do it anyway.
Yeah.
No, I bet with the processing of each file for the little individual snippets, unless you could take them out, put them all together, and then take them out and put them. Yeah, no, I think
No.
I get the difficulty though.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Marianne was just in SF last week. You missed. Too bad. Yeah, Justin TV closed down 2 days ago. I know.
Oh man, so much for that as a backup.
Yeah, so much for that as a backup. Exactly. I haven't used them for
But
a while.
it opens up a domain name for me, so.
Right. I
bet you'd have to pay a pretty penny for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be a pretty big one. Yeah,
Let's
and
start
then
spending my penny now.
if anybody knows anything about StreamUp, it was recommended by Yanni, and I've looked at it, but they don't have a lot of information. They don't have a lot of information on their website. It's a beta site. They're just a startup. They only have a bit of funding, and I don't know enough about it.
Why don't we just do it ourselves?
Yeah.
Why don't we just create our own streamering channel?
How?
With technology.
With the
With
technology.
that thing.
Yeah.
We'll just put some technology on the line, and there you go.
Word. Need to stop doing this.
Yeah, Alpha
I don't
Geek
understand,
Radio
like, for
is
instance,
audio
how
only.
you handle wearing headphones and not being able to move your arms wildly around you.
I can move my arms wildly around me. I don't know what you're talking about. There's lots of wild
Yeah, you
movement
can move your
happening
arms
here.
wildly.
It's not like the headphones are a straitjacket.
I don't know. They look really confining.
Yeah.
All right.
Ed from Connecticut, no, Kai has not discovered how to blow stuff up through better chemistry yet. He has learned the joys of food coloring, or I'm trying to teach them to him. He requested green mustard, or he wanted blue mustard. I told him I couldn't do blue mustard and that it would have to be green. Used blue food coloring, put it in the mustard.
Okay.
Made him green mustard. He liked that. That was good. I can make blue tartar sauce, though.
Mmm.
Yeah.
Or mayonnaise.
Yeah, Identity 4. Let's make our own internet. TWISnet.
Right?
Yes.
We'll just forego all those other web stuff and make our own.
Make our own series of tubes.
Yeah, we'll just make our own tubes. We'll connect the tubes to all the computers
Yeah,
out
easy.
there.
I know,
And
Dr.
then we'll
Morbius.
put stuff right on the line. We won't even call it on the line. We'll call it on the road.
So, do you guys want to hear my shouty Blair rant of the week?
Scherzel.
I know KJIO. YouTube archives archives our videos, which is awesome. We just worry about Google Hangouts not being reliable. But anyway, ranty rant shout.
No. So I was really excited because Lego released this female scientist set.
Right?
Yes.
I got really excited about it, and then I started thinking about it. I started looking closely at them, and I actually started to get kind of upset.
Oh, no.
Did.
So, first of all, if you look at the initial submission from this woman for what she thought would make an awesome female scientist set, and then what they actually did, they're a little bit different. So, the main difference being that these females have, and this is like, okay, I've just noticed it, I'm not that angry. They have a lot of makeup on, they have weird expressions on their face, but they also have negative space at the hips, so they look real curvy. So they're like super, super skinny, these Lego female scientists.
I wonder. I don't think they are super, super skinny. I mean,
Well, if you
were
look at
to
the
make
size
a,
of their head,
yeah, if you were to
their
try and make
waist
them
is as wide as their
proportional,
head.
it would be weird. Yeah.
right? But maybe you just don't need to put negative space on the Lego, and it can just be a Lego. So
No, because these are the Lego friends. These are new, more doll-ish Legos that are appealing to girls, and it's working. My daughters gravitated to these. And
So,
and the,
but all right. So even if they have waists, and that's fine, right? Then what also kind of bothered me is that it's called the Research Institute, but it really is the female scientist set. Like, that's what it is. Like, what I'd really like, what I think would be awesome, is if there was a research institute where there were male scientists and female scientists. Why are they all the girls in one bundle? So you still have the girl Legos and the boy Legos this way. And on the Lego site, they still have under categories like pirates, spaceships, like old medieval times, and then girls.
yes. But this is I mean, okay, like, as an adult, we can say there shouldn't be gender lines this firmly drawn in the sand. Having kids, though, I mean, maybe it's because, hey, this one's pink. You know, my daughter likes pink. This looks more girly. These are my Legos. I know my brother won't try to play with these ones and take them from, because these ones are definitely girl things. But in the girl things, there's like Rockstar, there's like math, there's like science.
No,
There
there
is.
hasn't been. In
No,
fact,
there is.
most of the
I bought
Lego
'em.
sets,
I paid for them. They're in the,
most of the Lego sets, all right, for girls are like ice cream shop, horse rider, shopping mall. Like, these are most of the girly sets, all right? And
Okay.
I as a child Hated the girl sets. Everyone bought me the girl sets. I thought they were boring. I liked the boy sets. I liked Robin Hood. I liked the pirates. That's the stuff that I liked. And I, as a kid, would go, where's the girl pirate?
Mm.
This is what I'm saying. Integrate the females into the Lego sets. That's the part that really bothered me.
Yeah. Blair?
Integrate the females so it's not all separate.
Good rant, Blair. And I think that I don't know who all of these female scientists are that they're profiling with this, but Lisa Randall's got curves, right? Lisa Randall's pretty hot, so I think they probably got the Lisa Randall one right. But maybe the other ones are like, why'd they drop me 50 pounds? Like,
I'm just saying. All right, there's not like a bulge in the bottom half of the male Lego sets. You don't need to do that. They're Legos. They're block figures. Let them be block figures.
But this is the whole new line that they started, the Lego Friends, that appeals more to girls and sells like crazy. Like, my daughter wasn't that interested in Legos until they came out with these ones, and now she's really into them and is building her loft bed right now has an amazing city that's sprouted up. And she's building with Legos, which she wasn't that interested in doing before. So I'm worth a little gender bias in the design if it's got her building.
I found Blair.
Ah!
I found Blair.
Oh, yeah, there's a couple zookeepers. Yeah.
No, but that's
She has negative space as well.
Yeah,
she has negative space.
She's cinched.
Hold on, move, little thing. There you go. She's cinched right there. See the negative space?
But
see the blackness by the waist? It gives
yeah,
the appearance of curves.
Now, right?
But this is, women have curves. Women have differences.
Yeah, but it's a block.
That's not even the new one.
Let it be a block.
Hmm.
I don't know. I could be totally off base on that, but the main thing that bothered me was that you have the girl scientist kit. I want there to be a girl pirate in the pirate kit, and like
all mixed in together.
I want it all to be mixed.
Yeah. Ooh, I think this is my new favorite. Wow, I gotta share this one. This is my absolute new favorite. It's pink, and it is Intergalactic Girl.
Alright, she's pretty cool.
Girl. She's got a pink space costume and a helmet and some kind of.
So that's still the old Lego. I'm gonna hold up the old Lego.
Or is that a
Lego girl?
What is that?
Right?
What's that?
It's
okay, there's
really
you.
They still do it. That's the standard Lego with the standard Lego body, right? No cinching, no anything like that. Here's the new one. This is the one though that the girls are going crazy for, right here. That's a Lego.
That's a Lego?
That's the new Lego Friends. See the little Lego?
That is not a
Okay,
Lego.
that's different. That's totally different.
That's
I'm more on board with that.
She even has a nose.
But it looks like a Playmobil. It looks like a Playmobil.
You have to
And
pull
she's
it.
not
There you go.
like
There, it almost focused.
overly developed. She's not a Barbie, but she's got bumps in places that boy Legos never had bumps. So this is the old one, right? So that's just everybody's got the same body. Every Lego's the same.
She's just got a little bit of hair.
This is the new one.
So if you're gonna make everybody more like anatomically whatever, fine. But the boy Legos are still blocks, the normal traditional Legos, and the girl Legos are blocks, but they have to carve out like lumps. I think it's weird. That's all I'm saying.
That's all you're saying. Girl pirate would be badass. It's true.
Yeah.
Identity Force asks, is it making my daughter interested in logos or science? It's making her more interested in Legos, but I'm working on the science.
Identity 4, you're right. It's Lego Barbie.
She's doing math 2 grades ahead of her grade on the whatchamacallit. What is that thing? The Khan Academy, which whenever she talks about, she goes, Khan Academy.
She does not.
She does too. And we got into this whole conversation like, why would they call it Khan Academy? Why wouldn't it be Spock Academy? I'm like, well, Khan's super, super smart, so that's maybe why. And she goes, yeah, but Spock beat Khan, so he's obviously smarter. Oh, yeah.
All right. Did you guys hear the story about taking ambient sound from a room from watching a bag of potato chips?
I still don't understand this or believe this even exists.
It's so interesting to me.
But what I saw was like from a photograph 15 feet away.
Not a photograph.
Soundproof wall.
Not a photograph, a video.
A video 15 feet away through a soundproofed glass, and they could determine the conversation that was taking place on the chips. Do you know how much this could revolutionize archive footage?
Exactly.
Everything? Wow.
Exactly. Yeah, so then they found one of the interesting thing about it that I read is that the technology, because of just like a weird thing with what was it? The Verge? Was it the Verge that said it? MIT has found success, including when watching plant leaves and the surface of a glass of water. The vibrations that the camera is picking up aren't observable to the human eye. Seemingly anything observable to a camera can work here. For the most part, they used a high-speed camera to pick up the vibrations, even using it to detect them on a potato chip bag on 15 feet away through a pane of soundproof glass. But without a high-speed camera, they were able to use common digital cameras to pick up basic audio information.
Crazy.
So you don't even need fancy video. You can just use video from a common digital camera. And that's
insane.
Yeah.
So most of what we would get back if we were looking at archival footage would be some sort of director or assistant director. All right, now now walk a little bit to your left. Okay, look out. All right, you give your look like you're looking out over the bag of potato chips. Oh, hey, you're smiling now, right? Because they look so good. And can't believe I went to film school for this. Right. So we can pick up. But can you imagine, like, finding archival footage, I don't know, of presidents, historical moments, that sort of thing, and getting some of the actual side talk that was going on in the room at the time? Brilliant.
Yeah, what else was happening? Or if this could be used on old soundless video, like could you get the audio from old silent films? Is there enough there? Is there enough information there? I mean, I don't know if there would be, but could you actually make silent films something you could listen to? Or what was going on in the room at the time, something.
Right. So 24 frames per second versus high definition video that's doing lots more frames, maybe doesn't compare quite.
Yeah.
But fidelity is fidelity.
I would picture them not saying. I'm sure they're not saying what they're supposed to say, right? In silent movies.
No, they probably were.
They're like supposed to be saying, "Oh, Romeo," but they're actually like, "What did you have for lunch today?"
And those, because it doesn't matter. You don't have to be quiet on the set. You probably do hear the director talking the whole time.
Exactly. He's probably telling them stuff the whole time. Now move over there. Now do this.
Say Romeo, Romeo. Right? Like even like feeding lines.
Yeah, and Gord saying,
Romeo, what did you have for lunch today? Just say it. It doesn't matter. We're going to dub it in later with words on it. It's not going to be dubbed.
Yeah. So it's really fascinating. So they used earlier work. They borrowed a technique from earlier work. This is from MIT News on algorithms that amplify minuscule variations in video, like changing color values at boundaries, several different orientations, horizontal, vertical, diagonal, and several different scales. This makes previously undetectable emotions like the breathing of an infant in the neonatal ward of a hospital or the pulse in a subject's wrist visible. So they've been used for health applications, but now being able to use this to infer the motion as a whole to be able to get sound waves out of it.
Well, where my brain was going was somehow towards forensics, and I don't know exactly how that would work, but I feel like so much of the time maybe there's security footage that's not focused on what's happening, or there's like an elevator footage, or like, I don't know. There has to be situations where that would be super helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
It would be neat to see. Super cool. Super neat.
Oh my god. Like, oh my god. Like, totally awesome.
Ooh, iBookery.
So,
iBookery is suggesting we look at vonlive.tv as a backup streaming. These are things I have not even heard of. I do not know of this. I will look into it. Von Live looks similar to the other one. I wonder. Whoa. Whoever's live now is really... Mariana is live now. It's a little scary.
Wait, what's happening?
On Von Live.
Are you on crack? That's what I heard.
It was. It was really loud. What are you doing there? What's going on?
Goodness. My goodness.
My goodness gracious. Hey, Blair. I now have Monday through Friday available in 8:30 to 4. You're probably working all those days. But
Yep.
if there's... You're all, yep, I am.
Actually, this Monday, I am not working.
Would you be interested? I know you're going to Davis and doing stuff, but would you be interested
On Sunday. But
On
on
Sunday?
Monday, yeah.
Cool.
Huh? Yeah, Monday.
Monday. I like that. Yes. Come on over.
Let's do it.
We can
Film
film
a short.
things. We can do shorts. And we can... Yeah, that'll be good.
Don't eat my shorts, film my shorts. Not funny at all. Yeah, I'm stoked. We can also... Do you need help mailing things?
Yes, I do.
So we can do that too.
Stuff. I
do the whole thing.
finally have. I have everything now. I have all the things. I have all the things.
Well,
Except for the pictures, but...
maybe by then we'll have the pictures. I'll bring the pictures. I'll make sure they're done, and then we can send everything.
That would be awesome.
Huzzah.
Did it.
Meanwhile, I'm
almost done. Look, I'm almost done with this one. You guys ready for a sneak peek?
I liked all the oceany stuff. I love that. It's cool.
I can't say anything. You gotta talk.
It's an octopus.
Oh,
and
look at me now. Yeah.
I love that. That's
You're not
cool.
getting
totally rad.
like just little sketches.
This is real art.
No,
You're
this
getting
is
frameable art, people.
Hold that up again.
Blair.
That's mind-boggling.
I know, it's cool.
What do
Yeah.
you know? Oh, it's not. I'm sorry. It's not
There we go.
mind-boggling. Just cool. Wow, that's really. Can I have one?
I love that.
Can I have that one?
Yeah, that's really neat,
You
Blair.
have
I
to
love
donate
that.
$15 per episode.
Momtopus.
So thanks.
It was
That is
Momtopus.
really awesome. I'm gonna take down all my art now and throw it away. It's not nearly that cool.
You want to commission some pieces, Justin?
Not really. Hey, guess who did? No, I literally don't have any room for art on my walls. My walls are crawling with art right now as it is. I barely have any. I actually have paintings that can't go up because I've run out of space. I'm trying to figure out how to hang paintings on the ceiling. But yes, I'll commission a piece of work. Hey, but guess who did? Guess who did a? Who's gonna be in the? Not the next, maybe the next even, if I can find the part. But in the one we're about to record, somebody's already done some recording on it.
You told me it was Tony Steele, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear
And
Tony.
It is awesome. So when we go to record, I'm going to bring a sample of what he's done because it's fun.
Are we doing it where we did last time?
We can do it wherever you want. We can do it there. We can do it back at my place with this mic. I'm hoping they've got their studio settled there though, because there's more room for people to sit and do 2 mics at the time. Actually, yeah, it wouldn't work here. We really need to do it at the studio.
I mean, I can bring this mic if it's helpful to you.
I don't know. Well, yeah, that would work. I guess I'd have 2 different computers doing because I think I can only get 1 mic feed in at a time. No, with the tracks I might be able to do 2. I don't know. I've never tried that. Don't bring your mic though. If we get booted out of there like we did last time for a prolonged period of time, we can retreat to the home studio. But I think we've got KDVS for some hours tomorrow, and most of the stuff that I need is
not tomorrow.
Sunday.
Whatever day that is. Most of the stuff that I need is you and Jeff both on a mic at the same time.
Okay.
And preferably a studio-esque setting.
Responding to one another.
Did you get the script, Kiki? Did you find it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I know Kiki and I get into it a little bit.
I know.
Do you?
Rare. Says the man who wrote it and designed it that way. Oh my god. Oh boy. Goodness.
It's gonna be fun. That is totally bitchin'.
I can't decide whether to color in the octopus or not. I can't decide whether to color in the octopus or leave it white. I kind of think it's cool stylistically to leave it white. I don't know.
I think it looks good like that. I would not color that. I would leave it just like that because I don't see it getting more
better
unless you made it glow in the dark.
Eh.
Eh.
Do you like how the colorblind girl is coloring?
I love it.
I'm sure you use a chart of some sort.
Nope.
Well, that explains why it's
Nope.
all. That explains why you did the whole thing in gray.
Oh shoot!
Now
Foiled
you tell
again.
me.
I know this one turned kind of special. I don't know if I can send it away.
Yeah, Identity 4. It's not that there's not space for art on the glass moon-based dome. Is that you're really not supposed to tack or nail anything to the clear dome. It can end badly.
Oh my.
I don't know, I'm still skeptical of this MIT thing because I feel too much like this is going to lead to some sort of bad forensic cop video expert witness
It's possible.
silliness in the future.
Probably not right away. And it might be taken.
Thank you, Ed. I just saw what you wrote.
It might be taken kind of along the same lines as DNA evidence at this point, where there's a certain amount of trust in it, but they don't trust it entirely. It doesn't determine everything.
Goodness, I just realized that if I've muted my mic, somebody somewhere will be able to use an algorithm on the background.
They will know what you're saying.
If I've passed gas or opened a beer or both. Well, the mic was muted.
Somebody will be able to figure out exactly what I'm typing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we lost Artsy Blair. Oh, Artsy Blair, you're back.
Where'd you go, Artsy Blair?
I don't know. Into the ether.
Into the Ethernet.
I'm way on a delay, too. I'm on such a delay right now.
Are you?
I can hear you right away.
Or not?
Yeah.
Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4.
3.
Ah, that's not bad.
Are on a bad delay.
Just 3 seconds away. That's not.
It's always right around the after show, just all of a sudden.
Blah. Okay, what do I need to do? I need to.
I feel like we shouldn't end the hangout at all, and we should just let it run till next week, just to make sure it works next week.
Is this just going to keep going? If we stop it, maybe it won't work anymore. And for everyone who was wondering what happened last week, apparently it was a problem with Google. It was not our doing. It was not any plugins or any software on the user end. It was entirely Google. And I don't know where the web page went, but there was a web page that I thought I had bookmarked that's supposed to show the different Google properties and how they're doing at a particular point in time. And I wanted to bookmark that, and I thought I did, but now that's broken. So anyway, hoping we can use that to kind of check on Google Hangouts before using them to see that everything is working whenever we start a show. Or we can go, hey, you guys, Google's Hangouts are down, and we'll actually know it for sure.
So Hot Rod, NASA's been able to use lasers on Windows to hear people talking for years. That's ancient technology now. Absolutely, because you're getting an actual vibration and it's being registered by the laser. But this is from a video image, which is a whole nother layer, because you don't have a laser that's going to feel any distance or vibration off of that moving picture. This is somehow using the algorithm to determine what that vibration would be by looking at an object, like a potato chip bag, which I'm sure is pretty conducive, a potato chip bag. It's probably a really good resonating audio source.
Yeah, so Hot Rod brings up the NSA, but research that shows a laser against a window can hear people talking in the room, and that kind of stuff totally works. I mean, they're using these lasers to detect the courtship songs that jumping spiders use to talk to each other. That jumping spiders shake their webs, and so in sense they create vibrations that female jumping spiders of the same species can hear and understand and go, oh, you like that, and they actually it's vibrations that they sense, and so they're using these I'm forgetting the exact term, but it's a certain kind of nano-sensitive lasers. I don't know why I can't remember the word. Lasers, and so totally you could get a laser that will sense the movement in a window, and window is reflective, and so sound waves will hit against glass, and so you will get a certain vibration in the window and be able to determine what's happening. It's kind of like a speaker.
Yeah,
Vibrations from a speaker create the sound that we hear in the air, and so if you can just transmit those vibrations into a digital signal via laser beam, it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah, also I want to point out with you and Hot Rod, Kiki, that it's an urban legend, this NSA. It's actually, there is no such agency.
Yeah, and then Gord is saying the thing with this visual technique, it can do more than just reveal audio. It can give you a lot of information about what kind of material it is you're looking at exactly. And you're not using lasers in this. You're just looking at video.
Just the sharks.
It's
You
video.
don't need the lasers, just the
Just
sharks.
the sharks. Yeah.
But yeah,
Did
I
you
mean,
say
so they use
sharks?
Oh, is that the
Oh, my
next? She's like, I'm moving on to the next one. Okay. I need to make more events. Plan a hangout. That didn't seem right last time I tried it. That's so weird.
This is fantastic because I haven't done art in forever, and now I have like a reason to do it. It's making me so happy.
Yay! They changed something.
I haven't done art in days. Like 3 days.
Right.
'Cause I'm always making art. That's all I do. It's what I do. Make
Totally.
art. Totally always making art.
My life is art. My life is a piece of art.
I'll do it tomorrow. I'm not going to do this right now. All right, you guys.
Let's get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Dr. Morbius, I don't think they're looking at the Doppler shift for the sound. I do not believe that is exactly what they're looking at. But anyway. Yeah, I gotta go. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna go do this thing.
Do you have a good birthday?
I had a fantastic birthday. It was wonderful.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was really, really, really great.
Sweet.
And everybody out there who wished me a happy birthday, thank you. It made me feel very special.
You're welcome.
Did Blair wished me happy birthday on every single social media network.
I did.
It was awesome.
I did it from every single Twitter,
I know
on Facebook, and via text.
and then she texted me. She's like tweeting from all of her Twitter accounts and Facebook, and then all of a sudden this tweet comes in. I mean, this text message comes in, and I'm like, awesome. It was fantastic.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, it's great. Turning 40. That was awesome. Bum, 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 bum. That was
40.
awesome.
I remember 40.
Do it again.
Oh, the good old days.
I think I'm just going to turn 40 every year from now on because it was so great.
Young
Good call.
40-year-old.
I mean, if you're 3D printing your organs, it doesn't matter.
That's
Yeah.
right. Print me a 40-year-old liver. No, print me a 20-year-old liver.
Yeah.
Not 15-year-old liver.
15-year-old liver. Exactly.
Yeah.
Print me a 60-year-old liver. Just make sure it's not mine.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Tabitha's Habitat. Where's Mike? Yeah, awesome. All right, everybody. What do we have coming up next? Oh, we got a show next week. We'll do a show next week. Yeah. Yeah.
Next week we'll be back with more This Week in Science. I think that's
And
Discord.
yes.
doing that. Very seems like last week was an anomaly, and usually every week we're doing at least one show. You know what this does, though? You know what this does? You know what this travesty of last week did? It pushed episode 500 1 week later.
Dope.
What
Whatever.
was
Whatever
it on,
week that is.
No idea.
I was gonna say, was it like at a good time before?
I haven't actually looked at a calendar to see exactly what day episode 500 lands on.
I can't
So-
rain man it that quick.
We're
But
getting
this
25
was 475.
Here's a serious question: are we gonna get in one place and do it together for
We
that?
should. It's episode 500. Come
Dress
on.
fancy and have champagne.
impressive
Oh my
and
god, we should dress black tie. Oh my god.
Ooh, the black tie episode. And drink martinis.
Yes.
Bond.
Or champagne.
James Bond. Yeah, champagne. Champers, as I like to call it.
Champers.
Champers. Who brought the champers?
Or what I like to call it, breakfast. Breakfast at
My
Champ.
goodness.
Dr. Morbius, no, there was no actual TWIS last week. We tried
was
to get
Blair.
it going, but there was Blair.
There was
so
Blair talking about
that's-
sperm.
Exactly. There is a killer sperm report from Blair. And I mean killer in a couple of senses of the word, because it's killer, but then, dude, killer sperm.
Word.
Right.
So yeah, no episode last week.
But a special beep, 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 sperm report from Blair.
Yes. I would have loved to be able to play the theme somehow, but I don't have the capabilities, so it's very bare bones.
Yeah, I keep thinking this isn't that hard. Like, we shouldn't be able to figure these things out.
Yeah. Agreed. It's 2014, man.
I mean, I say that being a Luddite that believes that computers run on voodoo and the tears of old men.
It wasn't that hard to do for you, was it, Blair? Like the method.
No, except that it ate my first try.
Right. That was probably just a weird YouTube glitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was because I was like, all right, and I like watched a minute of it to make sure it worked, and I was like, all right, post, and it was like, what are you talking about? There's no video.
Aww. So yeah, there are a couple of different methods that we could use, and it's not so hard to do it. And we can. I think what we need to do is just come up with a set method that we can use.
Yeah.
I think there's probably plenty of shows that have had a 500th episode, but not that many weekly shows.
Yeah.
Gotten to 500. I'm sure there's more than a few daily shows that can get to 500. It's just a little harder to hit that number when you're a weekly show. But even then, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it does.
Hi, Rod. It's not that we can't figure out. I just really haven't tried that hard yet. It's like all of a sudden I was like, oh, 475, that means... Yeah.
25.
25 more episodes.
Or is it 24? Because that's the 25th. Or is it the 25th show? Because then you start with 20. Oh, gosh, man.
No, it's 25 more.
25.
So here, we'll figure it out right now, super fast.
You're going to make us do this? I was going to go
Alright.
to bed.
Yeah, but, okay, but hold on. So
Hey, Kiki said she was leaving
then
after
there's
that.
things like
Everybody drink.
Thanksgiving, right?
It's time for
Thanksgiving,
drink.
we're not going to have an episode. Okay, so 1, 2, 3.
Christmas.
Why not?
We might have... What?
What do I got to be thankful
Thanksgiving,
for?
we never have an episode.
4, 5, 6, 7. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13, 14, 15, skipping. 16, 17, 18, Christmas, probably no, right?
We have...
19, 20, 22, 23.
Oh, it is exactly Christmas. So either skipping it or we've
4,
pre-recorded it in the past. I just lost count.
7.
Hey, that means my birthday is a show this year.
It looks right around. It looks like it'll be in February. It'll be the 5th or the 12th or the 19th of February.
Wait,
So basically February.
you just added it up. You went week by week.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
because first of all, hold on,
spread.
hold on. You just got
If you
shut.
lose track.
So
Okay. Do it again.
Because
Come on, do it again.
no. It would be the 12th if
Yep.
we skip Christmas
We
and
will.
we don't skip any other dates.
Right.
So if we don't skip Christmas, if we like
Oh,
pre-record
no, we're skipping Christmas.
or whatever, then it would be the 5th. Or if we, for some reason, miss 2, then it would be the 19th. So I'm saying it will be in February.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Unless we do 2 shows this week.
No.
Yeah. So this year, December is going to be the sticky December, January, because both Thursdays are Christmas and New Year's Eve. Or New
I
Year's
thought it was
Day,
it's New Year's Day. We could probably
which
do New Year's
means
Day. No?
oh
And
no,
one is going to be my birthday,
yours is the 11th or 18th.
the 11th.
The
Which
11th.
means,
Day before my birthday. My birthday was on TWIS this year. Now it's your birthday.
On the 12th.
yeah.
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 My birthday will be
Sagittarius
on the 12th
means
next
nothing.
Oh, we have to. We'll figure out the Christmas stuff because we have to do a Twistmas. We always do a Twistmas episode somewhere in there. So, and I would. Skipping 2 weeks would be a long time to take a break. But
I think we should do New Year's
plan it
Day. Hangover episode.
I don't know where I'm gonna be.
Like we all show up with our hair like this. Oh my god.
I've been.
No, shh, guys, shh, it's too loud.
Yeah. I don't know about you single people, but I'm going to try to do New Year's about 9 p.m. In
East
New
Coast
York
time.
time with the kiddos. Then they'll all go to bed, and I'll be abed before the actual, ball drops any further than it already has. And I'll be done.
So you're saying that I'll be the only one hungover, so you guys don't have an excuse.
I'll be fine. Yeah, I'll totally be like, just another day. Just another day.
Just another day.
Just another day.
Ed says Twist 500s would be a great Valentine's show. But our Valentine's show is always very fun. Gord asks if we're going to do another Twistmageddon this year.
Ooh.
Well, is there another prediction of the end of the universe?
We can make one. We can start it.
Just make a prediction.
Oh, Whiz Mike! That's a brilliant idea. Can Justin do a rain dance for California? I just found out that I'm part Native American.
That's
I
right.
have not been taking proper advantage of this
You
situation.
need to do a rain dance.
I could totally do a rain dance. I could make it happen.
I like Hot Rod's idea. We could.
What?
Somebody's gonna. Everyone can guess the date of when we'll have our 500th episode, and whoever gets it right wins something. That could be fun.
Pool.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I already gave away it's in February, so...
Maybe it could be March
Could be.
if there's emergencies.
Hey, nickety, hey, wanna. Hey, nickety, hey, wanna.
Are you raining?
Hey, wanna.
You don't even know what you're saying.
Hey, wanna. Oh, what? Oh, what?
You don't.
I'm
You
doing a
don't.
rain dance. Back off. You're not
You
Native
don't even know what you're saying. You could be saying
Nickety, hey, wanna. Hey, nickety, hey, wanna.
you're insulting the
I can't insult
creators.
I'm a Native American now. I can't be insulting people. I'm Native American. I gotta.
Oh, I
it's in
forgot my
genes.
lower third. Or did I take it off?
It's in my genes, and therefore
Yeah,
I'm
put it
claiming
on.
it. I just don't know what tribe. So
No show.
before they get offended, they got to make sure I'm not from a tribe that's how we do rain dances. They're the ones who are disparaging my peoples.
Bye, identity
which
four.
I may be the only one.
You may.
I'm
You're the
making
last member of the tribe.
I'm making my own people over here. Go be offended somewhere else.
The last of the Jackson flies.
Rent
Right.
a theater and sell tickets to our 500th episode.
Actually, that would be a good episode to do live somewhere.
Yeah,
Like,
it would.
The
Well,
exploratory.
the episode I would love to do live
Mm.
requires way too much technology.
What's that?
I would love to have a studio audience of monitors with separate computers through which all the minions who are in the chat room now are webcamming in. So if you panned from here to across to the bleachers, you'd see all these monitors with everybody in the chat room's face looking back the other way.
Nice.
That would be freaking awesome. But
That would be pretty cool.
I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But in Justin's studio world, that would be a reality. I'd actually have
Nice.
a studio audience full of monitors, each one having its own separate thing that you could Skype into or whatever, right? and then and then not that actually that would make the show more visible to anybody who was watching that, but then I could see everybody's face while we were doing the show, which would be totally rad.
Maybe.
All right, I'm gonna do this for real.
Okay.
For real, for real, for real. I'm going to end the
First
show.
Nation or is it Native Nation? It's not Native American. That was always stupid. But Native Nation, I think, is what it is. Not First Nation. First Nations? Is that what's PC now?
No idea.
I think letting Kiki go to sleep is PC.
Yeah, I love that idea. It's a great idea.
Do the 500. Oh, I'd love to go to Texas, Ben.
Mama needs to go to bed.
But I'm not allowed.
Oh yeah, we could go to the Geek House in Texas, right?
I'm not allowed in Texas.
I have a problem with Texas too. Texas thinks that I stole an RV.
What?
I said thanks.
That's really funny.
You're in the system? You stole an RV.
That's
did!
actually why I'm not allowed in Canada.
Oh, man, Blair.
I didn't steal an RV. I swear.
I actually did steal I stole a car in Canada, but it was my car. But they say that's a distinction without a difference for some reason. So I'm not allowed in Canada, Texas.
What'd you do in Texas?
Texas is because you know, like when you make fun of like Australians, more Australians listen to the show, and more Australians become fans of the show because they have a sense of humor. Turns out when you make fun of Texans, they put you on a list.
Oh yeah, it's on a list.
That's not good. I'm definitely on that list then.
Yeah, where in Texas though? There is one city which is in Texas where I am allowed.
Austin?
That's the one. That's the one place in Texas that I'm allowed to go.
I've been told that's the one place that I should go in Texas. Oh boy. All right. Well.
What did I just?
How's the drawing going? Can we see an update? I'm kind of interested in like what's happening over there. Wait, you gotta see, Blair, the way this works is until you're making mouthy sounds with your voice cord.
All right, look at the
video
picture,
doesn't
everybody.
switch over
look
to the
at
you
it.
talking thing.
Justin has to stop talking to see it. Look.
Nice.
This one's going to be a little bit different, though.
More original. More unique.
No, I want to twist Mageddon because I feel like I went down a little too early. Like I got knocked out in an earlier round than I was expecting. I want a rematch. I want to take on Twist Mageddon again.
Yeah, this time I could be there for a lot more of it.
Because I had a whole plan, and I didn't quite achieve it, and I think I can next time. I think I could be trained, and now I know what to expect. Now I know what's required of me. I think I could be better prepared next time.
How?
Well, I just gotta pick because I got ahead of the count a little bit. I got a little because I was gonna drink a beer an hour, but I think I got ahead of the count a little bit.
Ah.
Like I didn't have any way of keeping track. Like I didn't have a tally, like a little checkoff list. So I think I raced ahead of the rounds a little bit, and that's what done me in.
I don't think I was aware of this part of it, was I?
Oh no, yeah, that was my goal was to drink 1 beer per hour that we were on the air.
That's right. And you did not make it because you started drinking too quickly.
Right. I lost.
You had too many beers in too short of a time period, and then you passed out.
I passed out live on the air.
Live on the air.
Really?
I think, as I recall, the shit we're going like this. We're talking. It's like, yeah, no, it's fine. I'm just gonna be down here for a little bit, and I was still in the conversation. I was still for a while, and then at some point, I just stopped.
And then he wasn't. He was not in the conversation. We
Did
couldn't
I?
wake him up. Oh my goodness. That
Oh
was
my god, that's
hilarious.
awful. I'm pretty sure I passed out during an episode because it was 4 in the morning where I was. But it wasn't during Twistmageddon. It was during like a normal episode. I think it was during an after show, maybe. But yeah, I was sad I didn't get to be there for all of Twistmageddon. Next,
Hmm.
next
Gord
time.
says we could do a big stream thing for New Year's and stream until all the time zones are in 2015.
That'd be good.
Oh, that would not be good because like every time the ball dropped, I'd be drinking a glass of champagne, and that would be sloppy Kiki.
Yay! That would have to
Wait,
be
there's drinking involved? This sounds so interesting now.
That would be ridiculous.
No, that would be kind of cool. Actually, that would be like a new. Oh, that would be a great New Year's episode, wouldn't it?
What?
That a New Year's episode where we did all the time zones
All the
of the
time
New
zones.
Year in every. I think they already do that though everywhere. Maybe.
They do. They do. We'll figure it out. We'll talk more about it and figure it out because, you know, I get this, like, headache thing that's happening right here. And I just need to close my eyes. Just need to close them for a while.
I guess if you
Man
really
up.
wanna.
You guys who are still hanging out with us, thanks for hanging out.
Man up, Kiki.
No, I'm not going to man up right now. I'm
Don't try to act all curvy.
just not going to do it. Yes. Sloppy Kiki, you guys. Dear. Alternate. That's right. Water and beer, or champagne and beer, or
Mm-hmm.
just Jack Daniels and Jack Daniels.
My body's trained like a camel to extract the water from the beer. I need not double up.
Camels drink beer?
Yeah, I assume so.
Oh, I
No.
didn't know that.
Nope. Happy Thursday, everybody. Happy Friday for those of you who are already in Friday. We will see you next week with more science. This Week in Science. Tell your friends.
Hooray! Hooray!
What?
Hooray!
Hey,
Streams will be published tomorrow.
right before you go,
I'll see you all later.
I want to check. I want to do one thing because I got this thing, but it's not attached.
Oh, yeah.
P-
The popcorn.
Is there the letter P? The letter P. Is there
Yeah.
any difference?
There
Yeah.
was a difference.
Yeah.
Is it a good difference?
Yeah.
Okay,
Pop guard yourself.
I'm gonna put.
Pop your peas.
I'm going to put.
You gotta, you have to
Put. this-
prevent the plosives.
Oh no, this doesn't fit. That's
Prevent
why it's
the
not on
plosives.
here. I forgot. Because this new
Are you
mic
guys-
stand's
are
huge
you guys-
humongous.
Are you guys drunk yet from drinking all the times that taking shots every time that I have said I'm going to go to bed tonight? Because tonight has been one of those nights. You guys are awesome. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Sorry, so good night. Good night.